Welcome back to the next video. In this video we will be looking into authentication and authorization inside our Django app. So I've created a new app and I'm inside the admin portal. So I'll just click on home, and here we have two models, notes and trips. So I'll quickly add one note, add a trip, sorry. So I will add it for I don't know, I'm not able to recollect a city. I guess Chennai. Okay, and here it is in India, so I am just enter IN because this country has only 3 characters. So start date, I don't know, 1st, end date 30th, and the owner is DEF. Now DEF, I have already created this DEF user using our main app. ABC is our admin app, admin user, and DEF is our main user inside our main app. So I'll just quickly click on save. Okay, now ignore this for now. Okay, cancel, logged out. Okay, yeah, I am inside this. It's better to use like different browser for admin as well as for your main app, because given this include authentication, authorization, you might be facing a lot of issues. So I'll quickly enter my normal user credentials. Like we have one register page as well, where we are creating the credentials for a normal user, which I will show you in a bit. If I click on login, here you can see I'm logged in as DEF, and these are the trips which are present inside DEF. If I click on logout, I have been logged out. I can go back to login again, and if you want to sign up a new user, you can just go to /account/signup, and here you can enter whatever credentials which you want to. Like I'll enter XYZ as username, and password you will have to enter some proper password. Okay, because all these validations are applied. But later on in this video we will just improve all this CSS and all that stuff, but yeah, for now just bear with it. So if I click on sign up, here you can see I'm redirected to the login page, and if I enter this credentials which I have just created, hopefully it should work. If I click on login, and here you can see, so currently for XYZ there are no trips, that's why it is not showing any trips. Right, so let's get started with the code. So first you will have to create a new directory. So I have named it as 6th. You can name it whatever you feel like. Then you will have to open your terminal and cd to your directory which you have created. Then first thing which we have to do is we'll have to make sure, like we'll have to create the virtual environment. So for that you can run this function. Then we have to activate the virtual environment. So for that we'll run this function. Then we do pip install Django, so it will install the Django dependency for us. Then we have to use Django-admin start project config dot. Instead of config you can use any name which you want, but don't forget this dot as well. So once you run this function, you should see this config folder being created. Then we are also installing pip install pillow, which is a library used for handling images. We'll look into this later on, but just install this dependency for now. Then run this command python manage.py start app trip, so it will create this trip folder which you see over here. Then inside config you will have to go to settings.py, and firstly install inside installed app you will have to add your folder name which you have created. So for my case it is trip. Also inside directories you will have to create this os.path.join base directory templates. Now the reason we are creating this is because in later part of this video we will be using this templates folder which you see. So for authentication and authorization we will be using the default templates which are present. Now this templates folder is not inside the trip folder or config folder, it is outside trip and config, it is in the root folder. So that's why we have to use this inside dirs. We have to use os.path.join base directory and templates. Also at the very bottom I have added this media URL equal to /media. So whenever so for now you won't see this media folder, but once you upload any image you should see this uploaded image inside this media folder. So for that I have created this media URL, and you also need this media root. Again, this is part of this particular pillow dependency which we have installed. So yeah, this is all setup thing. So I have just added that, and also I have added this login redirect URI. So once a user has successfully logged in our app, which page we want to redirect to. So for that I have redirected him to the trip list page. Okay, once settings.py is complete, we'll go to trip views.py, and here we'll go to trip views.py, and here you can and here you can see that firstly I am importing template view. I have also created this model called trips, which I will show you. So if you see inside models.py, I have created a model called trip. So first I'll show you the views.py. So import trip from .models, and for home view, which is extending from template view, it is a class, and here we just have to write the template name. So it will go to trip index.html. So here I have created this index.html file inside our template trip folder. Next I have created another function for listing down all the trip list function for it. So depending on which user is logged in, I am getting that particular filter. Sorry, I am getting that particular trip, so I am applying that user filter to this. So it will only get, so suppose user ABC has added some trips, it will only get those trips, only show those trips which has been added by user ABC. Then we are just creating it inside a variable and passing it to our trip list.html file. So here you can see I have created that file as well. And if you go to models.py, so I am importing models. I am also importing this get user model. So so basically we are using the authentication and authorization of from Django itself, right? So we are not creating our own authentication authorization. So for that, this is the boilerplate code which you will have to write. We are also including this max value validator for our note, which we will come back to shortly. So firstly I have created a trip which has city, country, start date, end date, and owner as a foreign key. So you can see a user can only create a trip, that's why I have created a foreign key for user. And once user is deleted, all trips associated with that user will get deleted. That's why we are using model.cascade, and the related name is trips, and this we only use so that we can show it in a better way inside our Django admin portal. Similarly I have created it for nodes, and these are the data types. Okay, so basic things. And here for nodes I have created a tuple, and then it has a trip of foreign key to trip. So each trip can have a note, and once a trip has been deleted, its associated note will also get deleted, and the related name I have kept it as notes. That's why I have created models.cascade. And for name I have created a character field, description is of text field, and type is of character field, image is of image field, and rating is positive small integer field. And we are passing the max value validators of 5, which we will come back to in a shortly. Also inside type I have passed these excursions as well, so event, dining, experience, or general. And again this is like a boilerplate code so that our note can look better inside the admin portal. Okay, so I have shown you trips. Then trips urls.py. So here as you can see I have imported path, I have imported home view as well as trip list, and from our views folder which I just shown you, so home view as well as trip list. And for dashboard we are passing our so this is the main page of dashboard, so we are passing the trip list. And for the base URL we are just passing home view as view and passing the name. Again this is a class and this is a function. I have used it just for convenience sake. If you want, you can do everything in class or do everything in function, and here I have just named it as trip list. Now for authentication and authorization, so these are like by default present inside Django, so we don't have to worry about it. We just need to create the proper HTML file, and Django will handle everything, the URL patterns for us. Okay, so I have shown you URLs. Then go to config, urls.py, and here as you can see I have added all these imports. So firstly I'm telling is that you first have to look for the base part inside the urls.py of our trip folder. So it will look inside this, okay, which I have already shown you. Next, for accounts like authentication or authorization, so for account slash you will have to, so Django comes by default whenever we create a Django project. This dependency is automatically installed for us, so we just have to include it for account slash, so django.contrib.auth.urls. For sign up you just have to go to account slash sign up, and here we have created our sign up view as well. So if we go to views, here you can see I have created a sign up view, and which takes a create view inside it, and the form class is user creation form. So whatever is the form that has been displayed, and once it has been successfully user has signed up, we are redirecting him to the login page, and the template name is registration/signup.html. so I will show you that signup.html file in a bit. Okay, and so that's what we are doing over here, and this is for accounts like authentication part. I think this should be already present inside your app. Okay, next I have shown you config urls.py, then I have also shown you trip models.py, okay, and then I have shown you trip, and no, I have not shown you this. So inside admin.py we are just registering this, so you can just do admin.site.register trip, admin.site.register note as well, because these are the two models which we have the user model is by default present inside Django. And next you will have to go to config views.py, and again I have shown you this. So we are just importing trip for now, then we are creating a template for our index.html, then trip list.html, okay, and here we are passing the trips. Next, for coming back to the HTML file, so first index.html, so here I have just created a header file, an header tag, h1 tag of trip tracker, and here inside trip list, as you can see I have just taken an h1 of my trips, and if the user is authenticated, then I am showing the username, and here we are just showing the logout button as well. So previously the logout was a get request, but this thing has been deprecated in newer versions of Django. So to log out you will have to use the form as well, which is better security practice. So we are just passing the logout URL, CSRF token is for security, and submit button is just logout. Else we are just displaying the login page in case the user is not logged out, and here inside UL tag we are just looping over all the trips and displaying the trip city as well as the trip country, and ending our for loop. Next, coming back to this, so here I have also created templates and slash registration. Also inside trip you will have to create this inside template. So this is like a rule of Django that you have to create this inside templates folder, and followed by whatever is your folder name. So that is the best practice. Then same over here, templates. Now this is for registration, so I have named as templates. Again this is mandatory slash registration. So first one is signup.html. again it has a form which redirects to the sign up page, and here we are just displaying a normal form, and input type is of type submit, and value is sign up. So Django will handle everything for us, we don't have to worry. Just make sure you name the HTML files properly, make sure you use the same HTML file name which I am using. Then login, inside login.html, here again we are checking if there are any errors. Then we are just telling the user, okay, you have entered invalid login details in case the login details are incorrect, and closing our end if. And if next, like what should happen once the user has successfully logged in, and if the user is not authenticated, then again we are displaying login, else we are displaying logout, and we are closing end if. And here we have created a form with a login URL, and CSRF token for security. Again, we are displaying our form. Input type is of type submit, value is of login, and input type again is hidden. So this will help us to decide what should happen once the user has successfully logged in. And similarly for logout.html, so once the user has logged out, we just redirect him to this particular page. Okay, then inside config, settings.py, templates, yeah, I have already shown you this. Then you will have to do python manage.py make migrations. Okay, just run this command inside your terminal. Make sure you are running it inside a virtual environment, and then you'll have to run this python manage.py migrate. So this will actually create a user actually create all the table for us inside our SQLite database, which you see. And then you can create python manage.py create super user. It will ask you for the username, email, as well as password. Enter something. Again, just want to mention inside models.py, this get user models which you get which we import is already part of Django, so we don't have to worry about this particular user. It will automatically create those particular user table for us inside our SQLite database. So Django takes care everything for us. In case if you want little bit of more customization, then you should create your own user. You should not import from Django itself. But yeah, Django gives you a lot of things out of the box, so we don't have to worry about authentication and authorization. But yeah, if you need a lot of custom things, then you should create your own user. Also inside settings.py of your config folder, make sure you import OS, because this OS is used over here, as well as I think it is used over here as well. And one more thing which I missed out is this settings is not present by default, so we'll have to import settings. And given that we are running it inside the debug mode, we can just write if settings.debug. We can add the URL patterns plus equal to static settings.media underscore URL, and document root equal to settings.media root. So if you see, we have defined the media URL and media root over here. Also inside this urls.py of your config, you don't have to write accounts over here. You can write it anything. Just to be consistent, you can follow what I am doing. Now once we include this accounts, we are directly referencing this auth URLs from Django, right? Now given that we are referencing this accounts, we already have this login, logout, password change, all this kind of stuff. Only thing which Django expects us to do is we have to create templates for each and every login, logout, all this kind of stuff. Template as in the HTML file. Also, to give you guys a better idea, what I have done is that I have went into this virtual environment, go to lib, go to Django, and inside auth you can go to urls.py, and here you can see that Django has already created all these URLs for authentication and authorization for us. So in case you are confused, you can follow this. Also, if you see the views.py, you might be confused that why I have written so if you see my templates, here I have written logged underscore out.html. So you will have to write this name. Also this registration folder name is important, because if you see over inside this views.py, inside our Django contrib auth views.py, it is looking for registration slash logged out.html. so the naming is also important, so we have to keep it the same. Otherwise the default mechanism of authentication and authorization in Django won't work for you. So if you see, there is this input type hidden, name next, value of next. This thing which we write inside HTML login.html file is basically like we are informing Django that if the user is not authenticated and he is trying to access dashboard, he should be redirected to the login page. He should not be allowed to access the dashboard page directly. Okay. And if you see inside this settings.py, this login redirect URL, so once the login is completed, we want to redirect to the trip dash list and URL. And if you see this trip over here, if you go to URLs, So here for dashboard we have written in this trip dash list. That's why I'm referring same thing over here as well. Also, if you see this dirs, we have done this os.path.join base directory because our files of this HTML, this authentication and authorization are inside the templates folder. That's why we have to write this templates over here as well. You might be thinking that why we only created this sign up view inside this views.py of our config. So the reason is that if you go to urls.py, the accounts path only includes login, logout, password change done, password reset done, all this kind of stuff. It does not include sign up. So for that we need to include this sign up over here, and here I have created the views for it, and the template is registration/signup.html, which you can see over here, registration/signup.html. and if I go to urls, here you can see that's why I have set up signups purposefully over here, because the accounts slash does not give sign up. That's why. So the next thing which I have done is that I have added little bit of styling. So what I have done is so here you can see I have refactored it to add a little bit of CSS, for which I am using Tailwind CSS. And if I click on my trips, it redirects me to the dashboard page, and if I click on new trips, it redirects me to trip creation page. So if I want, I can quickly add one new trip as well. So here I can just add Mumbai, and I will keep the start date and date as empty. And if I click on save, here you can see Mumbai was created. So for this, what I have done is that I have firstly created base.html inside our trips templates file. So if you see, this is our base.html. It will basically create all the nav bar for us. So here we are importing Tailwind CSS. These are like normal Tailwind CSS classes. The important thing is here I have added an anchor tag for my trips, which redirects to trip dash list, and here I have added an anchor tag for new trip, which redirects to trip dash create, and everything else remains the same. Again, if you are using older version of Django, you will have to use this code for logging out, but for newer versions of Django, you will have to add this code for logging out the particular user. Next, what I have done is that I have created this trip_list.html. So here you can see I have just refactored the code again. So we are extending _base.html, and this is the block content for it. I'm just doing a for loop for getting all the trips, displaying the trip as well as the country, and here I'm just displaying the start time as well, start date as well as the end date in particular format. So I'm using the pipe operator for that as well. So if you see over here, I'm able to display the time properly, and in case if there is no time, I'm just displaying TBA, which you can see over here. Next, what I have done is that I have again, you will have to stop your server and install these two dependencies, Django crispy form as well as crispy dash tailwind. Once you do that, you will have to go to config settings.py. Firstly, you will have to add this 2 bit of lines, because this is required for using tailwind with crispy form, as well as in installed app you will have to add this 2 bit of lines as well for using crispy form as well as crispy tailwind. Once that is done, you will have to go to trips views.py, and here you can see I have added this trip create view, which is a class. We are inheriting create view. I have also imported reverse lazy. So as soon as we are using class based views, so we can just assign model equal to trip. We don't have to write any queries for it. And once that is successful, we are just asking it to redirect to trip dash list. And for fields, I'm only asking it to create country, city, start date and end date, because we also have the owner field, which we don't want to display it inside our form. That should be handled automatically because we are authorized user. And given that we are using this trip create view, the name of the template would automatically be trip_form.html. So you can't really change the name, because that's how the classes are wired. Otherwise you will have to use function based views. And from form validation, I have imported this form_valid, and here we are just imported base model form. Here is our HTTP response, and I'm just assigning the owner, like the form instance owner, because the owner field is not present inside the form, right? So the owner is assigned to whatever is the request whatever is the user who has signed in for that particular while creating the form, and we are just returning the form back. Next, we have created this trip underscore form.html. So again we are extending from base.html, and here you can see we are loading our tailwind filters like tailwind css, and here I have created one form. Again same CSRF token for security. It is a crispy form, so it will automatically assign all the CSS and make it look proper, and we just have to create a submit button for which I have applied some class. And last is urls.py. so here again we have to add this trip/create. so here we are importing our trip create view as well, assigning it as a view, and the name is trip-create. So the next thing which I did was adding trip details. So if I click on any of this particular trip, it redirects me to the trip details screen, and currently it doesn't have any nodes, that's why it is not displaying any. And I have this new node, adding new node button as well. So first what you will have to do, you will have to go to trip_list.html, and you will have to add this anchor tag. So I have added this anchor tag and wrapped it around the entire like this p tag as well as this particular p tag. So this will help us to redirect to the trip detail screen. Now if you see views.py, here I have also added this trip detail view. So I have added import for that as well, for detail view over here, and it imports from the detail view. So given that this is a class, as soon as I assign model equal to trip, it's done. It has the value. I don't need to write any SQL queries, but I also need to define this get context data, because I need to get this nodes as well which are associated with this particular trip. So for that you can do something like this. So basically we are just assigning context nodes equal to nodes. We are just fetching all the nodes, and we are overriding this get context data method, which is by default present inside a detail view. Next, inside urls.py, I have added this dashboard trip primary key trip detail view .as view, and pass our name as trip-detail. Now I have created trip-detail inside our trips folder like template strip, and here again it inherits from base.html. I have created this block content and ending the block content over here. And if you see, I am just displaying trip country as well as trip city. Then for nodes, given that this particular trip does not have any nodes, that's why you are not able to see anything over here, but I'm just doing a for loop over here, and in case if there are any nodes, I'm displaying the image URL, name as well as the rating. And once the for loop ends, we are just displaying our anchor tag to create the new node. So yeah, that's it. Now let's see about nodes. So if I click on my nodes, I'm able to see all the nodes which I have added. If I click on this, I'm able to see the node detail as well. And if I again go to my nodes, if I click on new node plus, I can add a new node, and here I will have to select what trip I have. So I will select the one for Chennai, and I'll just add something, I don't know, awesome, some description and type event, and here I can select one image as well. Quickly add this image, and rating I'll give it as 4. If I click on submit, here you can see the note was added. If I click on my trips, if I select Chennai, and here you can see that note was added. If I click on it, I'm able to see the detail part as well. So let's see how to do this. So firstly, you will have to update your views.py as well. So first you can add all these imports which I have, in case if you have missed any. Next we have this node detail view over here. So it is just extending from detail view, and we are just assigning model equal to node. Now the HTML for this will be node_detail.html, because we are inheriting from class. Similarly for node list view as well, we are inheriting from list view. We just have to assign model equal to node, and the template for it will be node underscore list.html. Now we also have to do this query set, get query set, which is a method already defined inside our class, but we need to get the owner as well, right? So what I'm doing is I'm getting our query set. So node.objects.filter, then trip, then there is 2 underscore, not 1 underscore, because for that we need to get the owner property from our trip, right? So for that we have to use 2 underscore and then self.request.user and then return query set. Similarly, I have created it for node create view as well. We are passing our create view, then we are assigning model equal to node. Once it has created, successfully created, we redirect to node dash list, and for fields I have kept it as all. And here again we are overriding the get form method. So we are creating our form, we are getting that node create view dot get form, then we are creating our trip.objects.filter, and the owner is self.request.user, and then here we are just assigning form.fields trip.query set equal to trips. Okay, and then we are returning the form. Now if you see, we have this urls.py, and here I have added one for node detail view. So the name is node dash detail. Similarly, I have added for node, it is node dash list, and one I have added for create node, and for that it is node dash create. Next I have inside our underscore base.html, I have added this anchor tags. So if you see, for my trips I have added the anchor tag of trip list, for new trips trip dash create, for my nodes node dash list, and for new node node dash create. Next inside trip detail dash html, I have also added this anchor tag of ahref. So I have already shown you this in my previous video, previous part, and here I am just referring the href url node detail and node.pk. Okay, and next thing, so this is for trip underscore detail.html. Next is node underscore detail.html. Here again we are extending from underscore base.html. This is blog, this is end, some tailwind css styling, and we get the note, right? And we just display the node.name, rating, description, type, as well as the name and image url as well. If you see the note list, again we are extending from underscore base.html. This is our blog content, and we just do a for loop. We get the, if this is particular item is clicked, we just redirect to node dash detail and pass the primary key as well, and inside the details we just display the image url, city, name, as well as rating, and we close the for loop. And here I have added another anchor tag for adding a new note as well, so in case the user wants to add a new note. And similarly for note underscore form.html as well, it extends from underscore base.html. Here is our tailwind css for block content and block content. Here is our h1. Then I have created a form. I have also added this type of multi-part form data because we want to add image as well. Then is our csrf token, then our form which extends from crispy, and then just an input for submitting that particular form. So the next set of changes which I have done is that I have added a little bit of css to our main base page. So here you can see this is how it looks like, and if I click on add trip, it redirects us to the dashboard page. Also inside the dashboard page, if I select any of the trip, it asks me to edit or delete this trip. So if I click on edit, and if I just add, I don't know, UK I guess, and if I click on submit, here you can see it has been updated. If I click on delete, that particular trip has been deleted. Similarly for notes as well, if I go to this notes and if I click on edit, if I click on poor, and if I click on submit, the nodes gets updated. Similarly I can delete that particular note as well, and here you can see I'm left with only one note. So yeah, let's see how to do this. So first you will have to go to views.py file, and here I have added this note update view, which inherits from update view. So make sure you add all this particular imports as well. So just to quickly show you the imports. So yeah, just add all these imports as well in case you have missed it. So here you can see I have this update view and the model equal to node success URL. We are redirecting to node dash list once this is properly updated, and for fields I have taken as all. And inside get form, we first get the node update view dot get form. Then from trips we have to filter out depending on which user has been authenticated, and we also need to assign the fields of trip dot query set equal to trips, then return the form. Now this is just a default method present inside update view. We are just overriding it. Similarly for node delete view as well, we are like inheriting delete view, assigning model equal to node success URL equal to once successful, just redirect to this URL. Similarly for update view as well, inheriting from update view, model equal to trip success URL equal to reverse lazy trip dash list, and the fields are country, city, start date and end date. Similarly for trip delete view as well, this is inheriting from delete view, model equal to trip success URL equal to reverse lazy trip dash list. Next we'll go to urls.py, and here I have added, so this is for updating a particular node. So make sure you add all these imports, and here this is for deleting a node, this is for updating a trip, and this is for deleting the trip. Now we can make use of the same for trip dash detail dot html. So here you can see I have added an anchor tag for editing a trip, and I have added one form for deleting a particular trip. So we are just passing the primary key for both for updating as well as deleting. Similarly for node underscore detail dot html, we have included an anchor tag as well as form. So this will be called for editing the trip, and this will be called for deleting a trip. We are also passing the primary key both for edit as well as for delete. And inside index.html, firstly we are importing tailwind css because it is not inheriting from underscore base.html. Then I have created one header. This is like normal stuff, and here if you see, if the user is not authenticated, then we are showing login button, otherwise we are showing logout. Now this is the old way of anchor tag, but in new Django version you have to write this bit of form to logout, and if the user is authenticated, then we redirect to trip list, else we redirect to sign up page. And this button which I have created, so if user is authenticated, show dashboard, otherwise sign up, and I have added one svg symbol. Similarly over here as well, I have added one class of container, and if the user is authenticated, then we show trip list, so add trip button, else we show sign up, so sign up, and just closing the end if. So if I again go back to my dashboard, sorry, to my base, so this strip was deleted, that's why we were seeing this error. Now if I just click on refresh, if I click on logout, here you can see user has been logged out. If I click on login, I can just enter my credential, and here you can see I'm redirected to the dashboard page. Okay, so the last part would be styling of this login.html, sign up and logout.html. You can do that on your own. One thing which I want to tell you is that if you have this VS Code extension called Prettier installed, this definitely messes up with this particular HTML templating. I think this is called as Jinja templating. So sometimes what it happens is that if you have Prettier installed, it will automatically move this in this line, and it would move this in this line, and sometimes it move this in this line. So it causes a lot of issues. So if you are facing some unwanted bugs which you are not able to figure it out, do make sure you uninstall or disable Prettier and then try to rerun it again, and I think those issues might get resolved. So yeah, that's it for this particular video. I know it is a long one, but yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.